Hey everybody, it's Reki. Some people wanted to hear my impressions on the Final Fantasy 15 presentation we got because it was a nice solid 45 minutes of gameplay and some Japanese I couldn't understand. So we'll get this out of the way. Long story short, I'm still pretty excited for this game. I've been excited for Final Fantasy 15 since it was announced as Versus in 2006. Like, that initial story premise had me hooked, and that's what I'm here for. So when I see this gameplay, yeah, I'm pretty into it, but that's, some of the intricacies, some of the things that worry me about the gameplay don't have me too worried because I'm there for the story anyway. But to get into specifics, we didn't learn anything really new about the story here. Oh, yeah, also, what's happening here is there's no swimming in the demo, so they're trying to see how far they can get in the water before the game stops letting them move. But, so, for the story, we didn't really learn anything new, unfortunately. But supposedly not much or anything has really changed since Nomura left, so that the story's at its core is still the same story. Gameplay, like combat specifically, there are things I like about it and things I'm a little worried about. The general concept I think is solid, but I worry that if gameplay doesn't evolve enough over the course of the adventure, it's going to get a little bit stale, and we'll see why in a minute once we go over the controls and I show you the weapon deck system. But what else? The graphics are just gorgeous. I know some people have been complaining about oh no, the frame rate isn't super rock solid and there's pop-in, or the resolution's not great, or whatever people are complaining about. I'm not too worried about it. I'm more of an aesthetics kind of guy when it comes to graphics, so I can overlook some technical issues, and the game's not done yet. The demo's not done. Well, it's probably done at this point, but the demo is not even the complete product, so I can forgive it any technical issues. And just look at this lighting, the sun peeking over the hill, and the way the water looks. The water effects could be improved a little bit, but it still looks nice. Yeah, as far as music goes, we heard the daytime battles music and the nighttime music. I'm pretty into it. I'm just glad we can hear some more music that's not that stupid song that played over the exploration video they showed off a while ago that I'm just sick to death of. And, yeah, that's kind of my general impressions. The combat impressions I'll get to over the course of this analysis I'm going to be doing right after this impressions thing, which there should be a button in the bottom right you can skip to with an annotation, if you want to skip this impressions. But in general, I'm still excited. My hype has only risen thanks to this video, but it has made me a little bit more cautiously optimistic. Alright, let's take a look at the controls here before we get into the analysis so we can see how the player is going through all these motions or analyzing. Right now they're going over the camera control. I find it interesting that with the Xbox controls they use kanji to talk about the sticks, but with the PS4 controls they use Roman letters, L and R. Really weird. But you can see you can walk and run. Your party members will keep pace with you, so you don't have to worry about outrunning them and waiting for them to catch up. Next up is jumping. It's a very weird jump. It's very, up and down. There's not a lot of floatiness to it, like there would be in a Kingdom Hearts or something. To be honest, it looks kind of janky, just he goes up and it just immediately drops. But right here we've got a free run, or the dash, done by holding in the left stick, or at least clicking it, like it's a shooter. And it gives the ability to hop over things in the environment, like Assassin's Creed, because everything is Assassin's Creed. Looks pretty good, though. Hopefully it'll be used in combat. Now, first thing up is attacking, done by pressing the square button. Now, there's a little bit of a UI change here. If you watch the analysis after this, you notice where it says assault every time he attacks, there's a picture of the weapon he's using. It doesn't show up in the footage we see from the live gameplay demo. I'm not sure if this is the new UI for the demo that we're going to be getting, or if this is the old one and the live gameplay is what they were showing. I don't know. It's really weird UI change. I don't see why they wouldn't just have it there, unless they want to go for a really minimalistic look. You also notice that the assault part is actually on top of the ability thing instead of below it. Now this is warping, or the shift, as they might call it. You see, every time he does it here, he has a target, but we see later on in the analysis that you don't actually have to have a target to shift to. You can just throw your sword and dash towards it. This is shift break. This is a long-range engage on a target using the shift. And it uses the phantom sword, which is why you see certain particle effects. This is Noctis' guard stance. As long as he's holding down this button, he'll automatically dodge whatever comes out of his way, assuming it's an attack that can be dodged, and that can't be. It drains MP, however, so you can't do it forever. And of course, all of your weapons, or at least some of them, come equipped with abilities that you can access with the triangle or Y buttons. They look pretty cool. I love that jump attack so much. Since abilities are tied to weapons, you can only use that weapon when you're using that ability, so you'll never see the heavy thrust that you just did with the green sword, for example. And there's your basic combo. One last thing before we get into the analysis, I'm going to explain to you the combo structure of Final Fantasy XV as we know it now. So every step of the combo has to have a certain weapon associated with it, and you'll not be using weapons unless they are equipped to these slots. The first slot, in the first stage of a combo, is the Avenger Longsword in the break slot. The break slot is the first attack of the combo, which is going to be breaking the enemy's posture and stance and letting you get in as many hits as you can. From the screen we see that the Avenger Sword in particular has no abilities on it, but it's highly balanced in all areas, and it's a sword that can be used in most any situation. Now this is just a one-hit stage of the combo, so that's all it's going to be, is just the one. Next, we have the Blood Sword in the Rush slot. The Rush is the meat of the combo. It's a continuous string of attacks. Basically, hold down the button to combo, when you can tap it too, according to Tabata. You can equip many different kinds of weapons here. Right now we have this Blood Sword, which has an ability attached to it called Sword Drain, which absorbs HP when delivering an attack, and some support abilities, the MP Recovery Attack and Automatic Recovery. Apparently it has low attack power, but it has HP and MP Recovery, which makes it a great sword. Now, you see it has low attack power. If we were to put, say, the spear, one of the spears in there, which has a high critical hit rate, it would be great for rushing because we could potentially get lots of critical hits in there with some good damage. So, as we know the combo so far, we would break with the Avenger to break their poise in order to stagger them, and then we would go in with the Blood Sword and get a bunch of hits in. Now, the rush will last until they are pretty close to death, about one attack away, in which case it will go to Slash. The Slash is the last hit of a combo, which deals a significant amount of damage. Now, of course, right now we have the Partisan equipped in the Slash slot, so the Slash attack will be used with the Partisan. Tabata supposedly recommends using heavy weapons because they can stagger even larger enemies with this stage of the combo. But this Partisan in particular has the heavy thrust ability, which lunges straight into the enemy with reserved power, deals multiple hits of damage to the enemy on impact, and it's a critical up, support ability, MP recovery. Low attack power, but high critical hit rate. Now, these last two slots don't actually have to do with the main combo. The combo ends with Slash. But for the counter slot, it is going to be the weapon for Noctis when he's using counterattacks, which, as far as I can tell, seem to be attacks that come out of a dodge. Now for this slot we have the Wyvern Spear, which has the jump ability. Everyone knows the jump ability. It's an AoE in this game apparently. And the Wyvern Spear also has an MP recovery. It has a high attack power, stable damage, spear that recovers MP while attacking. We've also seen a different weapon used than the counter slot weapon for when Noctis is parrying. I don't know how that works just yet. Now the last slot we have here is called the raid slot, which is equipped with the Zweihander is equipped in the raid slot. This is for your aerial attacks. For if you jump in the air and hit the attack button, you're going to come down with a Zweihander in this case. And we see it has the Tempest ability, which is a big spinning slash. And I'm not sure if this is going to be all great swords or just the Zweihander, but it has the support ability of ignoring the defense of the enemy, which is crazy. Over the course of the analysis, you're going to see Noctis do a parry a few times and then a counter attack. Every time he does this, he uses the Zweihander, which I don't know if that means that the raid slot weapon is going to be your parry weapon or not, because it's definitely not the counter slot weapon when he does it. Now, the last thing to talk about is the Phantom Sword, or in this case, it's called Akueshiro, which grants the ability Shift, controlling time and space, various sword shift abilities available, which we have the Shift Break, which we've seen multiple times throughout the video, and the Shift Avoid, which I'm not sure if we've seen or not. It's hard to tell, because it actually uses the jump button, which is really weird. And we see, if you look up at the top right where the Akueshiro icon is, there's 2 arrows on it. We're not sure if that means we'll be getting more EX abilities throughout the game or not, but as far as we can tell, there's no weapon attached to it, just the Phantom Swords. They're just the Phantom Swords. I don't know if we get certain kinds of Phantom Swords or what, but potentially we'll be getting different kinds of abilities. Now, these are all the things we do know. There are things we don't know about the combos yet, though. For example, right now we have what a lot of people are referring to as a deck of 5 weapons for the different slots of the combos and attacks. What we don't know is if we'll be able to have multiple decks that we can switch to on the fly, or if we're going to have to go into the equipment menu every time we want to change a weapon. But this would be a good idea in case you change targets from a fast enemy that you want to have multiple long swords or spears with, and change into a big heavy armored guy that he wants Zweihanders with. Another thing we don't know is how much control we have over the flow of the combos. The rush section of the combo seems to last until the enemy's one hit from death, in which case it goes to slash, but we don't know if we can trigger slash early for that extra bit of damage before we disengage from an enemy for whatever reason. And we don't know if there are multiple kinds of rush combos, like a forward advancing one or a left and right dancing one to avoid counterattacks. And we also don't know how much will change, of course. But that's all I've got for this section, so we'll just move on to the gameplay analysis. Alright, let's get into this combat analysis here. Some of it, most people already know, some of it, people don't know yet, so we're just going to take a look and see what we can see. We notice right at the start, as the battle starts, there's a little red indicator at the top. The battle doesn't automatically start until it fills up all the way, although you can start it earlier by attacking. So you notice here that whatever action Noctis is doing, it's denoted in the bottom left. Right now he's taking a defensive stance with his left arm forward because he's guarding, which you can see. Next you see, while he's guarding, if an enemy attacks, it'll make Noctis automatically dodge. This is going to drain MP, and not every attack can be dodged by this. I believe it's called the Magic Guard. You notice in the bottom right, Gladiolus' HP drops to 0, but he's not dead, because what happens when you hit 0 is you go into a critical state where you can still be revived, but you can't do anything other than walk around. And we find out later you can also use potions. And there he is, revived. Back up to where the red gauge says he can revive to. Now right here, you see what's called a counterattack, which it follows right after a dash/dodge roll. And here we see that he's using the rush command, which is delivering several hits before a finish off for a slash finisher. So that's going to be the basic part of the combo. Right here we see a break, rush, slash, 3-hit combo. So something is changing the length of the rush. But that is our basic flow to a combo, is break, rush, slash. And we can influence that a little bit with abilities and counters. And right here it's just a break into a slash. So what's happening? What's happening is, if you notice, every slash attack is actually the killing blow. So what's happening is the rush portion of the combo is executed until a slash attack will kill. So you're only going to be using the one weapon that you have assigned to your rush slot. And of course, you've ranked at the end of every fight. Right here, Tabata is talking about how there's lock-on, which we've seen already, and there's also an automatic lock-on. There's our red encounter gauge again. Notice that we can't see the enemies, so it's a warning that there are enemies around. In this one case, it just happens to be a single dog enemy here. Now here, Noctis is going break, rush, and then instead of going to slash, he cancels it into an ability, which is the drain ability from his blood sword that he has equipped. And there's the rank again, bonus XP based on how well you did. I wonder how much bonus XP you're going to get for parrying, because there's an individual parry stat there at the end of the ranks. This is a Garula enemy. It's one of a species of enemies, and it's got some unique things to it. So for particularly strong attacks, you see there's a warning indicator. It appears whether or not you can see the attack coming, and it warns you what direction it's coming from. But you see, it hits pretty hard. I don't know if that's because Noctis is under-leveled, or what. And the players swap between a bunch of different abilities in the bottom left there. You can see the MP cost and something that probably talks about the ability potency. Noctis just did a raid attack, which is what the aerial attacks are called. They use a specific weapon equipped in the slot. Tabata said that certain, or the aerial attacks are pretty easy to develop, so they're going to be doing them at the end of the development cycle. So there won't be a lot of aerial combat in the demo. And we see here using the Tempest ability that attacking certain monsters in certain ways will allow you to strike the weak points for extra damage. There's a lot of hit stun on that too. In general, there's a lot of hit stun on the attacks in this game, which it makes it look really, or it makes it look like it's hitting really hard, but it can probably get a little bit irritating. It does give you reaction time though if you're hitting something and you know that you need to change the combo or dodge or what have you. It gives you a chance to see that, but maybe you'll be able to turn it off, or maybe if enough people complain about it once the demo comes out, they'll think about it and change it. Now here we're going to see something called Shift Break, which is a gap-closing break attack used with the Phantom Sword, which is why you saw the different particle effect and the normal blue sparkles that you just saw. This enemy right here on the left is flashing black and white, which is a warn that it's going to do a very hard attack. And when I paused it right there, you saw that the parry command was actually on the square button, which is the attack button. We see that Shift Break is not exclusive to the beginning of the battle, and Noctis' HP regen is actually stopping whenever he's blocking, parrying, or dodging. Means that you have to be not directly engaged with an enemy in order to regen your HP. And right here also, when Noctis revived Ignis, his HP only recovered up to where that red bar is. And taking cover seems to regenerate your HP very quickly. You can see a little pulsating effect on Noctis's HP in the bottom right.
なるほど。
なので敵に突っ込んでいってボタンをこう押すだけだとなかなか勝てない。
かなり自分のヒットポイントと MP を
More flashing from attacks to warn you.
これがまあノックのベーシックな部分ですが、
I believe that Tabata said that some attacks cannot be parried, but I don't recall 100%. Definitely some attacks can't be dodged, however.
仲間がどんなことやってるかっていうのがありますか？
Right here we see Prompto reviving Ignis? Looks like Ignis, yeah. So Noctis isn't required to give everyone a pat on the back to revive them.
僕東鉄で戦闘をちょっと説明しようと思ったんですけど、ガルラは強いんですよ。
There's a lot to talk about. It's spaced out, but sometimes it gets a lot of things happening all at once. Now, right here, Noctis uses a magic guard twice despite not having an attack to avoid, so it seems like the player can choose to dodge. It's not just part of the magic dodge command. It's still consumed MP though,
低レベルのうちあんまり浮かせて手を出すと
you can't just spam dodge roll to get across the area really quickly, I guess. Now here, Prompto is actually going to shoot this Garula, and it flashes red to indicate that it's binded. There was an ability icon in the bottom right that showed that Prompto was using an ability. It was called Bind Barredo, which I think is a typo of Bind Barretto with a T instead of a D, because that would translate as a barrette, like a gun. But I don't know, that's kind of just speculation. Enemies will, or not enemies, your party members will also use items. Hopefully you'll be able to set limits on that, kind of like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 12. Well, I guess most Final Fantasies let you nowadays. Choose how often your party members use items. More magic dodging. I know it drains MP, but it seems kind of ridiculous that the dodge is just auto no matter if you can see the attack coming or not.
時々ガルラが今みたいに光ってる時ありますね。あれはまあ FF おなじみの攻撃が来るっていうのなんですけど、15ではですね。
Right here we see a co-op attack, and actually Noctis is prompted to follow up with the co-op attack, so I'm not sure if that's just a way to balance co-op attacks so they're not completely broken and super strong, or what. But as you can see, when he did the counter attack, or the follow-up, in the bottom left it said it was a counter, which means it should have been using the counter weapon, which is assigned. But Noctis right now has his Wyvern Spear assigned to the counter slot, because we've seen that in earlier fights when he did the dodge roll attacks. Those were counters that used the spear, so I'm not sure how that works. And another instance of the co-op attacks. Right here, this is just another point out. You can see the follow-up is prompted with the square button, and right there it says counter in the bottom left.
パリした後に連携が発生するという理解ですか？
そうです。自動で
And my Japanese is a little bit rough, so I can't understand everything they're saying. Right here, you've seen it earlier, but Noctis uses shift here, which is not to be confused with shift break. You can teleport without a target, as we've seen earlier. There was a counterattack right there that used the spear, just to further confirm that for some reason you can use the broads, or the gigantic, what was it called, the Zweihander, to use counterattacks as well as the Wyvern Spear. Now, if I remember right, right now the Zweihander is equipped to Noctis's raid slot. So we know that raid counts for aerial attacks, and maybe aerial combos later on, who knows. We've seen Noctis do some aerial combos before. But I guess raid is also an odd name to use for it, so it might count for co-op attacks as well, I suspect. But then, you know, naming conventions is weird, so that's a little bit flimsy evidence. But on the other hand, the way we've seen it used so far, that seems to be the case, is when you parry, that'll be your raid weapon that's used. It's the only other thing I can think of, because I find it hard to believe that the game is going to be taking whatever your biggest, bestest weapon is and use that for parry. Noctis is about to go into the equip screen though, so we can see there's actually something that just came to mind. I want to check it out. Is when you open up the weapon equip screen, every weapon has a rank. I don't know if that's weapon proficiency with a certain slot or what, but if maybe it's the one with the highest rank that uses for the counters. Or the parries, rather. And right here, this is a unique monster. It's still part of the gorilla species, but it's a unique monster. It's the queen in this case. And that's actually something else to be mentioned is duplicate monsters in the same race. So two gorillas, the ones that we've been fighting earlier, they can vary in size and moveset a little bit, apparently. And right here, we see that time pauses while in the item and equipment menus. This happens even in battle. So, if you need to prep yourself, or you need to take a breather for a second, open up that. Maybe there'll be a setting to change between wait and active battle, kind of like old Final Fantasy games, with the active turn-based system. But maybe not. It doesn't hurt, really, to have it pause. You can always just challenge yourself and make yourself have to go to a safe place before you use the items. Right here, let's see. So the Zweihander is the highest rank weapon, so that might be influencing what is being used for the parry weapon. It's interesting. I'm not sure. It's either because it's in the raid slot or because it has the highest rank. Unless there's the something going on that we don't know about yet. And he's just talking about the various weapons right now. Unfortunately, I don't understand most of what he's saying. And unless I reordered the segments, you've already seen this screen translated for each of the weapons and their abilities. Some kind soul out on, I believe it was Reddit did this. I couldn't find the original thread myself, but I was on GameFaqs and someone had posted these. So props to them. And you see in the top right of that menu, right above the break in the katakana, it's that little icon that denotes the Phantom Sword EX abilities. Kind of hinting at that we'll get more of them as the game progresses. So right here, Tabata's saying that you can't block this monster's attack, so he's changing his weapons around to maximize the damage, because the Zweihander, I'm not sure if it's all great swords or just the Zweihander in particular, ignores the enemy's defense, so it's going to do a lot of damage, so he's going to be putting it in the rush slot. And notice that as soon as the player swept the weapons, the blood sword went to the raid position, meaning that one weapon can't be in two positions at once. And since the Zweihander is now in the rush slot, Noctis is using it for the rush part of the combo. One other thing about the weapon equip thing with the weapon slot is that it could be just because Noctis only has 5 weapons equipped and he needs to have one in all 5 slots. That could be the other reason for why the weapons switched as soon as he put the Zweihander in the blood sword slot. It's one of those two. I tend to suspect that you can't have 2 weapons or 1 weapon in 2 slots. And just everything in general here just does so much damage. Like, look at that. That one swing took out half of Noctis' HP. So it seems like either Noctis is really underleveled, or the emphasis is on keeping your party member alive rather than avoiding damage. And so once again, he's going to be switching his weapons, and you notice they swap as soon as he puts one in a slot. Right here. Wyvern, the spear goes right there, and the sword went to the slash slot. And he's going to replace this raid slot back with the Zweihander, and they switch immediately.
今武器の名前の下にそのアビリティ名みたいなのついてましたけど、あれがすなわちこう武器に固有のアビリティがついている。
Not too much to talk about right now, though.
左に出ているジャンプっていうの
Just
は
watching the
さっきそうでした
the mechanics work in action.
で装備っていうのは1個の武器ではなくて
I'm interested to
戦い方に
see
対して全てセッティング
how manipulatable the rush section of the combo is, because if it's just as simple as mashing the square button. That's what's going to make combat a little stale as the game progresses, I think. But Tabata has said that your combos will be influenced by directional input. I don't know if that means how close you are to the enemy, or like where you are around them, or if that means holding back on the analog stick will do a different combo than holding forward. We'll have to see. I'm also interested to see if we can do a slash part of the combo early, so it won't kill, but it does extra damage. I want to know. But as I said earlier, I think the fun from combat is going to come from the situational awareness and being aware, or looking at everything and trying to find the best opportunities rather than doing sick combos. And all of Nox's party members are dead, so he's going to have to revive some dudes. But instead he's going to try and hide behind a tree. So even though this is not optimal cover and there's an enemy that's just staring at him, he still gets the regen benefits for being in cover, which is interesting, to say the least. And that jump attack just looks so cool. I wish the camera would follow him up and then point down as he slammed down. That would look good too. Okay, right here is the quest mechanics section of the video. I don't have too much to say here, because a lot of it's in kanji, and I can't read all the kanji, and I couldn't find a good translation anywhere, or a translation at all, really. So, everything I know, I'm going to be talking about here. Right now we're looking for... Tabata has said that the main quest of the demo is to fight and kill the behemoth, because we need to get money to get our car back. Oh, right here you see a focus prompt that'll center the camera on a point of interest. So a lot of the main quest things are going to be finding clues of where the behemoth is, like right here. We see some tracks. I'm not sure if this is just going to help you to find the main quest, or if this is a required step. It seems like it's a required step based on that text that's appearing on the left side there. Main Dasani. I can't really read it, to be honest. Daska. Unless that cause, I don't know. I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself now. We do see right there in the green text that the behemoth's name is Smoke Eye. Named as such because he's blind in one eye. And here's the travel menu. This is where you're going to be seeing all your quest log, or your quest markers, and the map in general, where you can find your campsites, because there's campsites specifically, and you can't just camp anywhere. You can see multiple quests labeled Smoke Eye. The player is marking one to put a waypoint down on. And that's the one they'll be going to.
全然関係ないところに行って、別のクエストが自然に発生してそれを楽しんでいてもいいし、全く別のバトルだけをしていてもいい。
I love the lighting in this game. Like for all of the graphical complaints some people might have, it just has such nice lighting. And I like it just for that. You might notice some blue orbs lying around sometimes that have little indicators pop up. Those are just items that are dropped. Nothing special. Quest material, or not quest materials, like crafting materials or something. Which one is this? I don't know. Sabita. Some kind of gold, I think. I saw the kanji for keen. And didn't get to read it too much though. Right there, he just passed by the shack where supposedly the fishing hole is. As we learned when Tabata showed off the exploration demo. I forget when that was. It was a couple months ago, I think. This is the one where Nox just kind of walking around and avoiding combat. We saw some chocobos.
故障させてしまったんで修理しなきゃいけない。修理代すごい高いんですよ。高級車だから。高級車だから。でそれが払えない。っていうのが本編の設定にあるので、その設定はそのまま。
This is the thing about Japanese demos of games is they like to explain everything rather than just show it.
それを少しずつ
Both good and
お金
bad.
に
You
変え
could
てお金を
potentially
貯め
get
なきゃ
more
いけない。
information
ただ
out of it, but it makes
一
these
発逆
things take
転が
forever.
この辺りで悪魔として送ら
And
れ
also, I
恐
think
れ
part
ら
of
れ
it
てい
is
る
they're
さっ
trying
きの
to
スモー
fill
ク
a
アイテ
certain
ム
amount
の
of
前のベ
time,
ヒモスを倒すと
so they're kind
あ
of
のベ
like
ヒモス相当悪いやつで
lengthening as much as they can.
それを
There's
そ
a
の賞
marker
金
there. I'm not
取
entirely
ろうじゃ
sure
ない
what
かっていう
that
のが
is,
まあ
to be
今回の
honest.
ベヒモス
At the
との
top there, where that was blue right there.
僕は前説で高らか
Not
に
sure
メイ
what
ンク
that
エス
is.
トは紹介しません。
全部言っちゃいましたね。すいません。
Might be
これ
indicating
ここ
an
までにし
aerial
ます
enemy
はい
that's
すいません
got their eye on
で
us.
すね
Not
テス
sure.
トの流れはこんなところで、たださっき流れをご覧になっててもしかしたら伝わったかもしれないですけど、
はい、
And I wish I could understand
仲間
all this, but I
がいろ
can't.
いろとあそこ気になるよとか、
うん、
これってなんだろうっていうふうに疑問を呈したり、またはあっちに行ってみたいっていうふうに新たな
okay.
行動を提示したりするんですね。
ああ、なるほど。
Coming right up here, we're gonna see something that I like a lot, actually. It's a cool idea. And people have done it before, but Noxus's party members will point out optional content that's really nearby through their dialogue. Like Prompto was like, oh, I forget what he said. He's just saying like, hey, check this out, whatever. And there's a waypoint show, like, oh, I'm not sure what that is. It looks like a cave or something. But I like that idea. So that way, when you're exploring, your party members might see something that you miss. And hey, it might be cool. But now we're at nighttime, so we're going to get some more combat here. Nighttime in general is way more dangerous than daytime, which, you know, makes sense. So, powerful enemies that would normally hide in caves and dungeons come out into the overworld at night. So we're going to see a couple goblins. Right here, Nox is prompted to activate the Phantom Sword, but there doesn't seem to be any meter indicator of why he suddenly has this option. I didn't notice it in the earlier fights at daytime. I think it has to do with the fact that his mana is not, or that is full. And that goblin, you see it right there too, that red effect. That means the goblin's writing up a status attack. It'll inflict poison in this one in particular if it hits. Tabata has said that there are going to be a lot more status-inducing attacks to deal with at night, which is part of what makes it dangerous. There's another one. This time Noctis manages to evade getting poisoned. But he will be inflicted with poison in just a second, or he's gonna do a sweet flip throw with his sword. That looks so awesome. One of these days he'll get poisoned. There it is. So Noctis is inflicted with poison, if you see by the indicator in the bottom right. And if you look at his HP, it's draining super fast, showing just how dangerous poison is right now in this game. It's also making him kind of like keel over in pain now and then, leaving him vulnerable, which makes it like doubly dangerous. This is just poison. I don't know why they made status effects so dangerous, maybe because they're trying to make it Noctis seem like a normal dude or what. And right here you see that Noctis remains poisoned even though he's in critical state. That might make the red HP gauge deplete faster, don't know. But it's also an indicator, unless critical state is special, that you can be inflicted with multiple status ailments at the same time, which sucks. Unless you do it on an enemy, of course, in which case it's great. Stack, paralysis, poison. Now right here, some dudes from Niflheim show up. Tabata has been saying that the longer Noctis' party remains in battle, the higher the chance that wandering enemies will join the fight. For this battle in particular, I'm not sure if this is just a random event, or if Niflheim soldiers are more likely to show up the longer you're fighting because they're scouting for people battling or whatever. According to the story, they're taking over, or doing a hostile invasion of... I forget what this place is called. Somnus? No, I think Somnus is... I don't know, whatever. This region. Noctis's country. So because they're invading, it seems like whenever they get the chance, they'll come kill you. And they're probably searching for Noctis because he's on the run, because he's the prince. So I'm not sure if this is something you're going to be constantly having to deal with. I've seen a trailer, one of the earlier trailers, that had these guys show up during the day, so it doesn't seem limited to just night. But again, not sure if it's a random or if it's because Noctis was battling for so long. It does raise the question of why they didn't show up when he was fighting all those Garurlas, though. And they just move so inhumanly, and they hit so hard. Noctis is getting his ass kicked with this attack. It just hurts so bad. They're robots, by the way. Now, right here, despite Noctis and everyone else having 0 HP, it's not a game over, which happens when Noctis dies. So it seems like you get a chance to run away if you know you're clearly outmatched. And notice that when Noctis revived from using a potion, the potion allowed him to regenerate his HP past the red gauge. But when he escapes, everyone gets revived up to that red gauge, except for Ignis for some reason. And right here is a campsite. These have monster fending wards, so the player doesn't have to worry about attacks here. Reference to Final Fantasy IV, I believe. And now we're going to take a look at the camp menu. So when you first sit down, you're prompted to make some food, because food's always good. Food's going to be giving you status buffs, kind of like the Tales series. And when you select a dish to make, it presents you with this delicious looking screen cap of it, and it makes me really hungry. You can see the ingredients down in the bottom center, those two columns, or 2 rows right below the huge line of kanji to the left of that bowl of food. Right there we got the Garula meat and the Arusto something. And on the left, the menu that's highlighted right now looks to be making food and Furibatoru, which I don't entirely know what that means. It literally translated would be free battle. So, not sure if that means you can just... He said something about free battle, but I couldn't pick it out. It's really hard to hear him talking. The mixing was terrible. And the video rip I have, the audio is not very good. And right here we see the buffs that come from the meal we made on the left, and on the right is all the XP we earned. You gain XP throughout the day, but you can only actually level up once you start camping. So what this means is that you can do level 1 runs if you want. It's set up so that you don't have to level if you don't want to. And there's an ability section underneath the EXP bars, gauges, whatever. I'm not entirely sure what that says. It says, in episode Dasuke, and then something to do with abilities. But I can't read those 3 kanji in the center of that bottom sentence. Ability no something 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 no ikimasen. So, not entirely sure what that means. I'm going to go out on a limb. Someone who can read kanji much better than I can correct me. It says something to do with you can't customize your abilities or learn new ones or whatever. And also the buffs from the left side of the menu have transferred over to the right to indicate that they are now in effect, which I think they take place before the EXP goes in. So if you got a meal that increases your XP, you could potentially get more XP than normal. And another thing that Tabata has said about the camp menu is your party members will grow closer together at that point, so they can learn more co-op attacks. but there won't be many co-op attacks in the demo, so that'll be something for the main game, I suppose.
何かしらトレーニングで技を覚えたりとか、そうです。イベントが発生したりとか、そういうこともあると。はい、その日の思い出を話すイベントも発生したりとか。なるほど。あとはそのキャンプ地によって得られる効果がその時々で結構変わってきて。
And some more Tabata style standing around talking for about 2 more minutes. I'm sure it's all lovely information that I don't understand. If someone watching this video is fluent in Japanese and wants to tell me what all this is saying, I will gladly credit you and annotate in the translations, or the gist of it anyway. And I know I'm talking over, it makes it hard to hear, but there are plenty of cuts of this video that you can listen to.
なので、やばいなと思ったらすぐそこに戻ってきて、キャップをもう一回貼って、効果をもう一度つけて、もう一回出発するっていう。
What is this
この広さですからね、便利ですよね。
Too many kanji for me to
バ
read.
フはずっとつき続けるわけじゃなくて、1日経つとだんだん消えてくるんですよ。で、かなり強力なので、バフが切れた時
Either way, they didn't do anything in that menu, so nothing we can really learn about anyway, without knowing Japanese.
もう一回バフをつけるとかいうのを考えながら、
And on the right, the buffs are all flashing right now, whereas at the start of this demo, when we were fighting the gorillas and the wolves, we only had one buff, which was just a single arrow, whereas one of our buffs is a triple arrow. I'm not sure if this means the buffs are wearing off over time, or if it's just a completely different buff. And something we'll have to find out once we get our hands on it, I suppose.
ただ普通の遊び方としてはやっぱり RPG 的にレベルも上げるし、いろんなものも集めるし。
So while we wait for Tabata to get a move on, I suppose we can look at the just beautiful surroundings. It is a little sparse, but it's an alpine environment, so I'm not expecting lush vegetation everywhere. It does kind of look like the grass and the shrubbery has been reduced a little bit from some earlier demos, but I'm not sure. That might just be the way it is like right now. It's not optimized very well for draw distance. So right here, we're getting to the last parts of the demo, where we're going to be going on a main quest. We got another focus prompt and an update to our main quest. So this is one of the tracking the behemoth quests, and you see a tree go down, which probably means our behemoth buddy is over there. In this upcoming fight, we're going to see another instance of the prompt for the phantom swords, and this time Noctis is actually going to be using it. So you'll see that Noctis's auto-dodge particles actually change because he's using the Phantom Sword. So we see that the Phantom Sword dodge, or the Phantom Sword in general, is not the same as the Magic Guard. And something about Smoke Eye. Probably a warning that he's near. There's another item on the ground to pick up, a small sauna, something. Okay, here we go. So, Noctis' MP is full, it seems, but he has no prompt for Phantom Sword, which is interesting. And there it is. So I'm not sure what prompts it, to be honest, or if it's just always an option. But actually, the Phantom Sword causes the crystal swords that surround Noctis, very nostalgic, and he kind of teleports anything that he sets his eyes on. It's not really a shift to break, it doesn't seem like. He just teleports to whatever he chooses to attack. And you see the crystal swords are damaging anything that he starts attacking himself as well. I'm not sure if they'll be protecting Noctis as well during this. This basically looks like the 15 version of a limit break. And if you look at the HP and MP there, first of all, the rush effect of the regeneration disappeared randomly. I think it means the HP is done regenerating. But you don't have to just be hidden from the enemies. As long as you're completely unengaged from them, you get this bonus regeneration speed. And right before the battle ended, as Noctis was dropping from his hiding spot, he saw another prompt for Phantom Sword, so it might have to do with the fact that his MP is full, but we don't know. That's another thing I forgot to mention, is the Phantom Swords, having them equipped, or turned on, rather, will drain your MP continuously. Don't know if you can turn it off midway. I suspect not. Downsword to having them equipped. Downside. And right here, cutscenes are not a seamless transition, but they don't require a load screen, at least in the demo, which is nice. Tabata has said that they're trying to get as little loading in as possible. Now, one of my favorite things that they've been doing so far, I'm not sure, because the HUD pops up, I suppose it's not a cutscene anymore, which that was pretty seamless. But one of my favorite things is they're treating these characters like they're humans, and not crazy anime badasses. So these guys are terrified of the behemoth. Which, I mean, rightly so. That thing would annihilate you. And in real life, I would be very afraid to go near that, no matter how strong it was. So I like that they're setting your expectations for how strong the party thinks they are, regardless of how strong they actually are. And it's a nice tense scene. I like it. I like the atmosphere they're going for here. And of course, as we saw, Smoke Eye is blind in his right eye, which is supposedly a key mechanic in defeating him, according to Tabata. And Behemoth clearly knows that something is there. He can't see it because he can't get his eyes in close enough to see. But I suppose he smells. It's very odd why he doesn't go after them right away. Perhaps he just thinks he can't get to it. Whatever he thinks is there for his dinner. But for now, the threat is gone. So the main party get on their way, confirming that this behemoth does exist and is indeed as terrifying as it sounds. And with that, we hit the end of the demo, and the end of this analysis and impressions. So, thanks for watching. If you like more of this, let me know, and when new trailers come out, I can do more analyses and impressions. And, you know, check out my other videos. I do some Let's Plays, if you're into that sort of thing. Take care, everybody. See you all next time. Bye.